If you're here, you might be trying to figure out what to pack for your first bike trip.
Or maybe like us, you just like seeing what other people bring so you can get new ideas or dial in what you already have.
By the time you see this, we'll be on a 2-week bike trip where we'll be in all sorts of terrain, in cities and in remote places, camping and in hotels, and in all kinds of weather. So we thought, why not share our packing list in a video? Okay, so let's get into it.
So fun fact, we hiked the Pacific Crest Trail in 2011, so we're not new to human-powered travel or going light.
We've been traveling specifically by bike for a couple of years now, on everything from weekend trips to 2-month cross-country adventures. Over time, we realized we really like getting off the beaten path, but we still end up spending a lot of time on pavement.
Whether you call it bikepacking or touring or whatever, we don't really care. We just want to ride our bikes wherever we want, and our setup works for that. It's not as heavy and unwieldy as a traditional 4-pannier setup, but we can also be pretty self-sufficient in bad weather and carry water and food for long stretches. Plus we've got some creature comforts in there. And we should say we're not in the business of promoting mindless consumerism. We've built this stuff up over 6 years of bike travel as things have worn out or we've hit their limitations.
They say that the best gear is the gear you already have. Just because we've found something that works for us doesn't mean that you don't already have the best option for yourself.
Okay, you want to go grab your bike?
Yeah. Hillary and I share a lot of gear, so we're gonna go through it all bag by bag so you can see not only what we pack, but how we pack it. Since 2020, I've been riding a Panorama Forillon. The Panorama is a small bike company in Quebec, and Forillon was their all-road touring bike that I think has been discontinued, but it's been serving me well. This bike is mostly stock. I have changed the saddle for a Brooks B17 Imperial, and the seat post is now a Cane Creek E suspension seat post, which gives me just a little bit of squish. For the rear rack, I have the Tubus Grand Tour, and on the front, I have the Morse cargo cage from Wolftooth. I have gray pedals. I ride flats, I always have. I don't know any better, so judge me if you want. So I have a rather busy cockpit. I have two feed bags from Swift Industries, a top tube bag from Rockgeist, a hardware to mount the GoPro. Out front is the Routeworks handlebar bag, which is a little unconventional for bike packing because it's a little on the small side, but it's worked really well for me.
So if you have seen our channel at all, you might know that I ride a Salsa Fargo with a Rohloff hub in the rear. I built this bike up in the last year and it's really been serving me well. On the back, I have an Old Man Mountain divide rack. I bought the divide rack because it solved a couple of problems I was having. It has more clearance for my rear tire. And then also I really liked that the top platform of the rack is solid, so it keeps a little bit more mud off of my stuff. Old Man Mountain reached out after our last video and offered to send me a few things. So one of the things they sent me was the elk horn rack right here for the front, which also has a little light mount on it. And I'm excited about this rack because my bike has a carbon fork. It's really hard to find a front rack for a carbon fork because they're just not built for the kind of force that a rack puts on the bike. With the Elkhorn, they also sent a fit kit that allows me to mount the rack directly to the axle of my bike. And then these little pucks that finish the mounting process. So we're gonna test that out for the next trip. It feels really solid. I'm really excited about it. And lately on the top of my front deck, I've been strapping my little chair and also my sandals. And continuing with mounting points, I've got Problem Solver's little racks on the Elkhorn rack. I haven't tried them yet, so we will see if they will actually hold on my bags. I was having some issues with bike fit, so I am trying out these Pedaling Innovations pedals. They are giant platforms. Usually when you use these pedals, you're supposed to move your seat back a little bit, and so I thought it would put my feet in a better position in relation to my hips and knees, so we'll see if that works out. I also have a Brooks B17 saddle. I have it in short. It's been comfortable since day one for me. So I know that's not the case for everyone, but it is for me. Now onto the cockpit. I have denim bars, which are these flat bars with these horns built in. I really like having the control of flat bars with the different hand positions. I have ergon grips. The right side is a shorty so that it can fit the roll-off shifter. One frame bag from Swift Industries, and I've got my sunglasses and my clear glasses in the loops, which that has worked out really well. I've got the GoPro mount from Ram and a Peak Design phone mount right here, and then a Miracle bike mirror. I don't love the Miracle. It's just so big and bulky and it gets bumped around a lot, but it really does help when I'm trying to be safe on a road with cars. And then the handlebar bag that I'm bringing on this next trip, this one is the Swift Industries Paloma. I just really like to be able to access it while I'm biking. And this one opens and closes with a little elastic band that goes around the steer too. Okay, so now it is time to talk about what's inside of some of these bags, starting with my handlebar bag. So this handlebar bag has a lot of my valuables in it because it's really easy to take on and off the bike. So usually if we go into a grocery store or into like a museum or something, it'll come with me. Usually the camera that I'm using to film on right now lives inside of this bag. And so normally when I open this up, it has the camera in it. It has the dead cat microphone cover that's on it right now. And so inside here, I also have a couple of other things for that. I have this smaller microphone cover and I have a ND filter. I should also say that if you think we're carrying a lot of stuff, we do have, you know, a little bit extra camera equipment than a normal person would be carrying around. So keep that in mind. Okay, so I've also got sunscreen. I have a hat. I have a charger and a charging cord. This is a 10,000 milliamp power bank, and I also have another 20,000 one in one of my panniers. My wallet, passport, and some chapstick. For some reason right now I have toothpicks in here. I don't normally have toothpicks in there. A small cutting board, which is nice to have for lunch if we're gonna eat like some sort of fresh vegetable. And I also have these things, which are kind of dorky, but if you are like me and you struggle with sensory issues and the sound of the wind passing over your ears for like 5 to 6 hours a day kind of drives you nuts, these go over the straps on your helmet. So you can actually like hear the person that you're biking with a little bit better. You can hear the cars around you a little bit better. And it also just like cuts down on some of that wind noise. So I'm gonna put a link for these down in the description. We're gonna list everything that we have broken out. Instead of by bag, we're gonna break it out by like the category it's in. So like cooking or sleeping and stuff like that. We have affiliate links for some of it, and so if you click on them and make a purchase, then we get a small commission, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. It just sort of supports the channel. For my frame bag, I've got this store-bought frame bag from REI. I don't love it. It's just really flimsy and sort of like slides back in the frame. I wasn't quite sure if this bike was going to be the right size for me, and so I didn't want to invest in a custom frame bag until I knew. Inside my frame bag, I usually keep like a layer that I want to access really quickly. And then I also often keep my water bladders. I have these 2-liter Hydro Pack water bladders, and at various times they will be full or empty depending on the water situation of the day. Also inside my frame bag, I will often put like bread or other bulky food items that are fragile and I kind of want to keep protected. All right, and then on the bottom, on the down tube, I've got an Arundel loony bin with our cooking pot mounted inside of it. This cooking pot is the Fargo bought 1-liter version, and we really like it. The lid screws on so it doubles as water storage, and then it flips over when you're ready to cook. Plus it's easy to cold soak things like rice or lentils or do overnight oats without worrying about animals getting into your food. It was a little expensive, but when our old cooking pot got to the point where we couldn't use it anymore because it was so dented and misshapen, it was a good upgrade.
Okay, now it's my turn. As I said, I really like my RouteWorks bag. It integrates well with the quad lock mount on the top. And then inside, it has a lot of little pockets where I can partition things out. In one pocket here, I have a charger, always important to have close at hand. And then in the zippered compartment here, I have a handful of cords and some other odds and ends to use along with charging and a charger hub.
Order up.
Order up. This is where we keep the drone controller, sunscreen, lip balm, wrench for the GoPro. Hand sanitizer is important to have close at hand. And that's actually all I have in there right now. Sometimes I'll shove some other snacks or odds and ends along the way. And then moving back along the bike, I of course have the feed bags, which hold my water bottle, sunglasses, thermometer, and then this one is just odds and ends, sometimes a couple of rocks to have available just in case they need to be thrown at dogs. My top tube bag here is generally where I keep a wind shell. Sometimes I'll cram a couple other snacks in there. The back top tube bag is where I keep some emergency equipment. We have Garmin InReach and a smattering of first aid supplies, and usually an emergency Starbucks Via. And then the frame bag in the back map pocket is where I usually keep the click stand, as well as a trowel for digging holes if you need to, and a small amount of toilet paper because you never know what's going to be supplied in public restrooms. The front here, there's actually a fair amount of space. I will put layers in there if I start riding with a fleece or a puffy or something on and then have to shove it somewhere without waiting. It'll go in there. But what is in there right now is a couple other camera accessories and a small but longer bike lock, just a kind of a deterrent. So that's the top section, and in the bottom I keep Be-Free, a little bit more water capacity and a filter, and a very small backpack, which works as a grocery bag, or we can carry a few things with us if we go on some side quests. I do have a U-lock here. If our bikes are going to be out of our sight, they should hopefully be locked up inside of a hotel room. But occasionally we get ourselves into situations where we'll lock our bikes together to make them really annoying to roll away with. I have a peanut butter jar. I keep kind of common maintenance supply things in here. I have a pair of work gloves, stand sealant, a rag to clean the chain, wolf tooth chain lube, a multi-tool, very small Leatherman, tire plugs, and a couple zip ties.
It's not showing that it's clicking.
All right, we're really bad at this, and it's taking us too long to shoot this, and the light is dying, and we're hungry. So, see you in a few days.
Cut.
Okay, it's been a few days, and we finally have time to keep filming. And yes, we are wearing the same clothes because continuity. So let's start with Chris's fork bags.
I have fork bags from Relevate Designs. They work really well. Right now they are just holding air, but when we're on our next trip, they will be full of food. I also have water bottles, which 90% of the time on trips are empty, but it's really nice to have enough to cook, clean up with, clean ourselves a little bit with, and then make oats and coffee in the morning too.
How many liters of water capacity do we have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Plus a Be-Free, which would be 5.
Okay.
And you have about the same. Also hiding here between all of the bags is a headlight. Important to have if you end up riding in the dark and for visibility on busy roads. And that's all I've got up front, but Hillary will tell you about the things she actually keeps in her fork bags.
My turn. Okay. These are just a couple of dry bags because I'm cheap and I didn't want to buy real fork bags. I keep food in here, and then also I keep all of our cooking stuff in here so that when we sit down for dinner, it's just easy to just grab both these bags and know that we have pretty much everything we need. I've got an AeroPress. Sometimes we leave this at home and just drink cold Starbucks Bia in the morning. Either way, we need caffeine in the morning because one time we forgot it and it was a very sad day. We have a long spoon, which goes with our deep pot. I also have another titanium spoon. I have a little silicone bowl, and then I usually have like various spice kits and things like that, and some olive oil, and a little knife. That's that bag. And then the other bag, I have my Be-Free. Sometimes this lives elsewhere. We usually carry at least 2 ways to purify water just in case. We've got a little MSR pocket rocket. How long have we had this stove for? 15 years and it's still going strong. A lighter, and then this we're not actually bringing with us because we're flying on a plane, but we usually have a fuel canister in there too. Okay, now it's time for the bags on the back. I'm gonna start with my dry bag. I have these strapped on with rock straps instead of bungee cords because I read horror stories about people poking their eyes out with bungee cords. There's a little loop on the side of my dry bag, and my rock straps always go in that loop because one time when we were in Turkey, I did not have them strapped down well enough and they fell off my bike, and a farmer came and found us and told us that we lost all of my stuff. And this contains all of my sleeping equipment, so it's not something that I really want to lose. I really like having it all contained in one very dry place because if it's bad weather, I'll just take the whole bag off the bike, throw it in the tent, and then we can stay relatively dry. I've got my beloved Catabatic. I don't know how to say this brand, but I've tried a few different sleeping bags and I really, really like this one a lot because the material is just so soft and it's very warm. And I have a buff, which acts as a hat and also as like an eye shade in the morning. I've got an inflatable pillow and a pillowcase that's cut down to size. I'll usually put like a couple layers of clothes in there for a little bit of softness. I'm really happy with it. And I've got a sleeping pad. I sleep pretty cold, so this is the Neo Air X-Therm. I've got a base layer top and a base layer bottom, and I have a warm pair of sleeping socks. That's what I keep in this bag. Okay, now let's get into my panniers. So these are the Ponderosa panniers from Old Man Mountain. They also sent me these panniers. I've always used Ortlieb panniers, which I like because they're easy to take on and off the bike, but I have broken the clips on my Ortlieb panniers quite a few times now and had to spend basically all our entire trip in Turkey with just a gear tie holding my pannier on the rack. And these are connected with Velcro, so hopefully that's going to be a problem of the past. These panniers are also quite a bit lighter than the Ortlieb, so that's exciting. Okay. This is my P-Rag. It is a Kula cloth, and if you have female anatomy, you should look into it because it makes you feel very fresh and clean. I usually just try and pack these in a way where they're kind of even. And usually when I get off my bike, I get off on the left-hand side, and so I put the things that I want to access more quickly on this side. This is a drone in a GoPro case. Hooray. I have a mid-layer, rain pants, my rain jacket's in here somewhere, and I have my puffy layer in case we stop for a break and I'm cold. What else? That's it. That's what's in here. Okay, and this side I've got a giant bag of electronics stuff and chargers, because you never know when you have access to a plug. And the golden rule of traveling by bike is ABC, always be charging. I've got my repair kit. I have tubeless, so I've got sealant, a good pump, patch kit for the Neo Air, patch kit for a tube, quick link, extra really light tube, spoons, extra valves. Before we head out, I'm going to be adding a few other things to it, like spare brake pads and zip ties. What else is in here? And so these are all kind of my spare clothes. I always, bring 3 extra pairs of underwear. I've got 2 extra pairs of socks besides the one I'm wearing. I've got a tank top, and then I've got this. This is called a pareo, and it's just like one really big piece of cloth, and we use it as a picnic blanket, I use it as a towel, as like a shade cloth, and
going into mosque.
A shawl, yeah, a shawl to cover myself if we go in somewhere where I need more skin coverage. And I'll also wrap it around myself like a skirt. I also have a ebook, a pair of warm gloves, and never go anywhere without my hammock for mid-afternoon nap times. And that's everything that's in here. I think that's everything I'm carrying. I also carry this little cable lock. It won't really keep it from getting stolen, but we hardly ever leave our bikes alone, and it's really just there to deter someone from just walking off with the bike. So, okay, now on to Chris's panniers.
So on the back of the bike, we'll start from the top and work our way down. I have a Sodero handlebar bag that I've kind of rigged to ride on the back of my saddle, and in that I keep camera, microphone, and ND filter, a couple other odds and ends for cameras. Behind that bag, I have a Seatpost bag from Swift Industries that I keep a lot of the heavy duty repair things in, things that I hope I don't actually need. And so that's why it's okay that it's difficult to get to. I think there's a spare tube, a bunch of zip ties, spare shifter cable, brake pads, a bunch of nuts and bolts that hopefully we don't lose, but if we do, we don't want to have to push a bike just for a lost bolt. Tire boots, spoons. That's the highlights. And then on top of my rack, I use the rock straps to strap on a camp chair because we live in luxury. Sandals. And on this side is where the tripod that is currently in use would be stored. The pannier in the back is easier to go through, so we'll do that one first. It is primarily the tent as well as some other things that I don't care if they get put away with a wet tent. Hammock, more luxury.
Lots of ways to relax around here.
And then rain gear, my Neo Air Uber Light, sleeping pad, and the rest of this is all just the tent. This is the Big Agnes something something bikepacking edition. It's a 3-person tent, which is, again, luxurious, but also really necessary when you're spending a lot of time in a tent. This one is full to the gills, and I may end up switching to larger panniers for this trip, just because I might be overstuffing things. I have a toiletry kit. I have a fleece mid-layer that I love. I have warm gloves because cold fingers suck. I have the sun shirt that we spend most of our time cycling in. A bandana. Pants for colder weather. They double as hopefully respectable pants to go out for dinner or something. A button-up shirt and several pairs of underwear. I have both wool and synthetic with me. I found one pair of socks. I think there's another one in here. Long underwear, thermal top to keep me warm while sleeping, keep my sleeping bag clean and dry. A very small stuff sack that I can shove dirty things into if needed. I have another pair of shorts that I can swim in or relax in or wear if we're doing sink laundry somewhere. I also have given into the luxurious lifestyle of having a inflatable pillow with a cotton-based pillowcase. I spent a lot of years stuffing clothes into a stuff sack, and 75% of the time it worked out great, but occasionally you just get a lumpy pillow and it doesn't work and it ruins your night and that ruins your next day and it's just not worth it. Shout out to Wheels to Wander for the pillow trick, for the pillow talk. Lightweight, puffy, packs down small, keeps you warm. I have a pack towel because I will probably shower somewhere and I'm not gonna count on having towels available. I also have a buff to keep my ears warm while sleeping or my eyes covered if it's a full moon or we're sleeping near lights. I have a small towel that sometimes gets used to clean dishes or other things. A small dynamic cord intended for a bear hang but can also be used as a clothesline. A headlamp. There's my quilt, which I love. Mine is not nearly as luxurious as Hillary's. It's quite a bit lighter. And I made it myself.
Look at how proud he is. Lasted quite a few years.
And that's it.
So we're also bringing the clothes that we're wearing for Chris.
It's a wool t-shirt, a pair of synthetic shorts and underwear, socks, and Merrell Trail gloves, which I love because my feet don't shift around inside of the shoe on the pedal and it feels really secure.
And for me, I'm wearing the long sleeve sun shirt that we usually wear. We both have the same one. It's from, where is it from?
Ridge Merino.
Ridge Merino. We really like it because the hood's really big. And it can go over our helmets, which looks really dorky, but if there's one theme maybe you're getting from this video, it's that we don't really care about looking dorky. I've got a pair of Mountain Hardwear Dynama high-waisted pants. My only complaint about those is I wish they made them in long. And then I've got a pair of Ultra Lone Peaks and a pair of socks. And that's it. Oh, and also a wool bra. I have 2 of those. Okay, I think that was everything.
If you notice that we missed anything, feel free to ask in the comments. We'll definitely reply.
And we're also always curious what other people have that they really love. So if you have suggestions or pieces of gear that you really, really like, leave them in the comments and then other people can see them too. And maybe we can just use it all as a resource.
I'm always up for hearing about more gear. Now we have to break all this down and fit it into cardboard boxes.
We hope you'll stick around and watch the next video where we get to use it all. Toodaloo!